And now for something completely different.
Forget everything you've been told by others before. Get ready for the real deal, the full story. Real talk about money, markets, life. Now, it's The Real Investment Show, presented by RIA Advisors.
And good morning. Welcome to Financial Fitness Friday. I'm Rich Rosso, CFP. Danny Ratliff, CFP. Thanks for being with us today. We really appreciate it. Getting ready for the long weekend, Danny?
I'm ready. Oh, yeah. How about you? Big plans?
Like you? No. Probably. How many days you be working?
What's today?
They all roll together, don't they?
That's right.
Happy birthday, Keanu Reeves. The big 5'8". And sometimes I absolutely feel like I'm living in the Matrix. So, and I want to get out. So we have a pretty subdued market today, Danny, right? We're waiting for the key August jobs report. Is it gonna come in hot? Here's the kind of market where bad news is actually good news.
If we get a weaker jobs report, I think the market likely runs. If we get, if it's rather hot, it may be trouble.
Well, we have a new Dallas Fed chief, Lori Logan. First thing out of her mouth was, we're going to focus on bringing inflation down. So I think maybe the market is finally starting to accept the fact that the Fed's not done. So we have what? How much of this July rally have we retraced?
Quite a bit of it.
Uh-huh.
I don't know the exact number, but I mean, we've seen this in a matter of a week, week and a half. I mean, this was pretty quick. And, this was to be somewhat expected when we see it, from one extreme to the next and then the other.
Right.
And this is something that we've been talking about for some time. We may possibly see a bear market rally or a little bit of a retracement. And here we are, once again, as we get extremely oversold. We got a little bit overbought. It was very quick. And, it's not uncommon.
No.
But where do we go from here is the question.
Well, it is. I know Lance said longer term, this isn't a bear market, but it certainly walks and talks and runs like a bear. So we'll see how it goes. You're going to have one of the articles we're going to be talking about today. Is it now a bad time to retire? So a lot in the investor community, the advisory community, thinks we're in a bear market, Danny. And you have to treat it as such if you're in say, distribution mode.
Absolutely. Right? And look, a bear market or not, regardless of where we are, if we're down 20+%, if we haven't broken the long-term trend line, this doesn't feel good to anybody. I mean, people are seeing, earnings eroded. It's just not it's a challenging time, to say the least. And I think that, there's going to be some opportunities here. So, I'm always looking at this a glass half full. And these are things that we've needed the market to do over time. I think that it's very easy for us to think about the markets in so many different ways, but we've taken parts of the business cycle out. Oh, we can't have a recession. And I'm not talking about, I'm talking about just in general. And it feels like that because the Fed has had this put that's been in there consistently. They've always been there to save the day with the safety net. And that may not be here any longer because we've never had, in this time frame, we've never had inflation like we have today. So it's a different ballgame, guys.
It is. It is. We haven't been allowed to have business cycles. For some reason, recession equal bad. And no one says that it's a happy time, but it is a cleansing kind of a situation. But we never allow it to occur. And we've had the best of the world where, Danny, we didn't have inflation. Now there's really little choice. But, denial runs deep to think that the Fed is going to bail out this market.
Correct.
And I'm in that camp that they have to continue. And some of the inflation that we see, energy prices, food prices, wage growth, right? We'll see what average hourly earnings looks like today, is sticky. And I don't know what the Fed has to break to get inflation down to their nirvana target of 2%, but it's not going to be pleasant.
No, and is it 2%? I mean, why this arbitrary number? I mean, years ago, prior to the Great Recession, it wasn't 2%, and that was fine. But we actually had the growth to go along with it. I think the problem why they've had to keep it at 2% is because we've had such anemic growth over the years that, I mean, look, we've had growth in the market. Here's the problem: the market has outrun the economy for years. So what happens? At some point, we need to get back to even.
Well, yeah, right. There has to be a realignment, right? We've had malinvestment over these years based on Fed liquidity. We have price distortion, and to get back to normal and actually be a part of this process is not. I think, you have a whole generation of investors that have never seen this.
Yep.
And, I do think that they're sticking it out. I think fear should be greater. I think the market should be down more for what we're facing. But again, a lot of people in autopilot and passive funds, they're told to do that. They've done a good job, a lot of retail investors. But there is going to be a point where reality is going to set in. And people are going to look to re-examine their strategies, whether they're working or not. And that's, as cycles change, you learn a lot about yourself as an investor. We haven't given a lot of investors the opportunity to find out because as soon as everything looks a little bit iffy, the Fed comes in on their white horse. And this time, even the new Dallas Fed, she's saying, we're going to continue. We have to continue. Hey, 30-year mortgage is up to 5.66%. What do you think that's going to do to the housing market?
Well, it's not going to help. It's not going to help at all. But, it's not even just the new Dallas Fed chair. It goes so far beyond. I mean, look at Jackson Hole. Look at all the things. We've had many events, many speeches about this is what we're going to do. And at some point, we've expected this big pivot, and it's not here yet. Doesn't mean it's not coming. It's just probably not coming as quick as many think or hope.
Well, and it's like you said, if you want, this is going to show or outline your true self as a stock investor. Do you really belong in the stock market? Do you think it only goes up? What kind of research are you doing? What do your goals look like? So the self-awareness that could come along with this is not a bad thing. Sometimes a little pain can clarify things. And we'll have to see. But if you're in retirement and say this is your first year, and this is something I'd spoken to a lot of clients about last year, I was very worried retiring this year would be an experience because we talk about crossover risk. That first step out of the workforce it doesn't feel right? It's this black hole. You're disoriented. Now I have to come up with a distribution strategy at a time when my accounts are possibly down. Unless they listen to our right lane, Danny, and we said 3 to 5 years from retirement, you should be a lot more conservative with the way valuations were, so you wouldn't have to worry about this right now. So when we get back, we're going to talk about is now a bad time to retire, and Social Security benefits are taxable. A new bill would repeal federal taxes. Talk about all that when we get back here on the Financial Fitness Friday. Stay tuned.
Get daily investment news you can use, delivered at the speed of the internet at realinvestmentadvice.com.
Hi, Lance Roberts here. If you're like most people, your 401k plan represents the bulk of your retirement assets, and unfortunately for many, managing your 401k plan can be difficult. There's so many choices, so many things to consider. With just a quick email, a couple of questions, you can put RIA advisors to work for you managing your 401k plan. Get started right now at the website, realinvestmentadvice.com, or simply call our toll-free number, 855-RIA-PLAN, or again, simply online at realinvestmentadvice.com.
Health and financial security touches everyone within your organization. Offering benefits for all doesn't need to be complicated. Hi, I'm Tom Allen, Senior Benefits Consultant at RIA Advisors. RIA Benefits provides independent expertise to find solutions that speak to the mission of your business, the culture you want to establish, and the budget you are able to work within. Book a free consultation with me at realinvestmentadvice.com/retirement, and we'll find a solution that takes care of your most important asset, your people. realinvestmentadvice.com/retirement, realinvestmentadvice.com.
Could your job still be at risk? A new normal can still include new obstacles. A severance package can be an emotional as well as a financial decision to consider. Wouldn't it be comforting to review the options for you and your family with an objective financial partner? At RIA Advisors, we're here to help. From severance pay, tax timing decisions, to how to maximize unemployment benefits, the RIA team wants to make sure you can do what's best for your family. There's no charge for a consultation, so reach out to RIA Advisors, 855-RIA-PLAN, RIAadvisors.com.
And now, another page from the Real Investment Advisors Investing Manifesto. Bulls win in bull markets. Bears win in bear markets. Eagles soar above and take advantage of opportunity. Let us help you soar as you reach your financial goals with RIA Advisors. Neither bull nor bear. RIA Advisors, 281-501-1791 or online at realinvestmentadvice.com.
The Real Investment Show.
Welcome back. My beloved Medicare Advantage ads, Danny. All my idols, Joe Namath. They're gone. Mr. Shatner. Under scrutiny. Lots of complaints. Consumer marketing complaints for Medicare Advantage surged 165% last year.
So were they misinformed or misled?
Well, Well, the thing is, right, you call into these things. I want to get what I deserve. Right? And Jimmy J.J. Walker's telling you, you deserve a lot. Dynamite. You deserve all this stuff. The issue is when you signed up for these new Medicare plans, they never really checked to see if your doctor was in the plan. So then people would go to their doctor and they would say, doctor said, well, sorry, you're not covered by insurance with us anymore. So we're going to see an influx of these ads as we get into open enrollment, aren't we?
Oh yeah, those are coming in hot right now. There's no doubt about that. But listen, Rich. So people are saying, listen, I saw Rich. He talked about this is a great plan, and just signed up, didn't do any homework, didn't do any research, didn't talk to somebody who said, hey, FYI.
So here's
check
what
this
happens.
out.
A lot of older Americans would call in, and these are salespeople, right? They're a conduit to the program.
And probably not trained salespeople or trained to sell.
Well, they're trained to sell, and they sell massive number of policies per day. And if you look at Medicare Advantage, it grew 8% last year. This is one of the most popular programs. So every year you got to look at it. But the point is, older Americans would call in. They would get promised all this stuff and never really asked the right questions and were never really told the information. Now, a lot of times what will happen is the children of these older people would call in the next day and say, listen, you got to stop this. Mom didn't, dad didn't know what he was doing. So that happens
but so
as well.
So the I'm assuming lawsuits around this, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
They're because they were sold something.
Well, they were sold something, and again, they weren't given all the information. And you have people like William Shatner.
Where's
and all
self-responsibility in this? I'm sorry. I mean, look, I
not
agree, but like, if you're doing any of these types of things, and look, guys, if you're doing any type of healthcare insurance, please do your homework.
Yes.
I mean, and look, it is a disservice on how this works and operates in the sense that you see this. But if you see one of your heroes when you were growing up and you're like, man, I'm going to do this because this guy was on it, we've got a problem. Because that guy's getting paid to sell that.
Right, and they have quotas. Like, I don't know how many policies they need to sell a day, but it's massive. So it's like a conveyor belt of policies. But I agree with you, Danny. I mean, I look at William Shatner and all that. I'm like, how many people are falling for this? And there's nothing wrong with calling and trying to get information if you have all your faculties to do so. But to get signed up when they look through these aggressive sales efforts, behind these companies, these middlemen to Medicare Advantage, private equity firms, financial services companies, stock market investors, this is a lucrative conduit to Medicare Advantage. So that's why those ads run so much. So now the national, the insurance commissioners are really looking at it, and they should. But yes, there is a personal responsibility. As much as I like Jimmy J.J. Walker, he's not going to convince me to call in to get what I deserve. But you think about, they have like the American flag, they do certain things that make it look official. And they're going to have to tone down that advertising. They're going to have to tone down what this advertising looks like overall. Like some of the ads have the American flag, and they're saying, listen, you got to take all that stuff off.
Wait a second. You can't be patriotic?
It's not that, but it looks like it's by the federal government.
It's a government.
It looks like a government issued program. So, you know what I mean? It's deceiving. I mean, this is an ad to sell you something.
Well, we've seen advisory firms change their names to look like, .org, change their names to something that would assume like, oh, okay, this is a government entity, which would make me want to run, number one. But evidently some people may like that. The other thing is like Medicare.gov. Go look online, Medicare.com, Medicare.org. They all look very, very similar. And I don't know how you police that, Rich. I mean, that's got to be a tough thing.
It is, but you do a search for Medicare Advantage, and you the first link looks like or Medicare.gov. It looks like Medicare.gov, but it's not. It's Medicare.com, right?
Yeah.
And then, like it says,
and they're trying to sell you something, not provide you the information.
And it'll
you need.
say we're not Medicare.gov.
And very
small, and you're not going to look at it.
Yeah.
But I'm not just saying it is a tough situation. Seniors are being bombarded with these ads. I'm a little troubled that all the programs I watch tend to run these ads. But you know who I would buy Medicare Advantage policy from?
Who?
Brent Clinton.
Right.
You call in and get what you deserve. Oh, I got a call.
And you will
Brent would
get what you deserve.
you will. And Brent would never steer me wrong. So, Go Health, Prime America, Select Quote, they're firepower deals that are going on to create these conduits that are there. And then they listened to some of the recordings of these Medicare Advantage calls, and that people were confused. Who were they speaking to? Some, again, thought they were talking to the government. It just shows the importance of not making hasty decisions and getting somebody else involved in this process.
But there is an onus on the company too. I mean,
yes.
So hold on now. You're talking about people's health. You're talking about their lives.
Right.
And you're screwing with them.
Obviously, seniors have been stretched, right?
Yeah.
When you look at inflation, and if they can save money on healthcare costs, they're going to do it, right?
Yeah, of course. But the companies need to do the right thing. And that's the problem,
Absolutely.
is that this goes on to both sides.
Yes.
You need to have a corporation who values and has integrity, and values doing the right thing versus over the dollar, which I think, look, if you do the right thing over and over again, you're going to do well. If you have good service, I mean, that goes a long ways. But then you think about the people. I mean, you've got to do your homework.
Well, they're saying that one of these companies, Go Health, they had like 18 or more sales a day and earned bonuses. So you can't really have a discussion with the senior calling in, because what you want to know is you want to check the doctors, you want to check the medications, right? So you're going to spend 45 minutes to an hour on the phone. And a lot of these companies are like, listen, it's like one of those boiler room call centers, right? Close it, move on. And like you said, you're dealing with people's lives and their health. And that's the problem.
I'm going to venture to say that almost any company that's involved in some kind of healthcare delivery of any sort, take CPAPs, for example,
Okay.
because my wife and I have been dealing with a CPAP company. Any of these companies that are dealing with healthcare delivery, you look at their marketing, and you got to figure there's a lot of money involved. Otherwise, they wouldn't be in the business.
Oh, yeah. No doubt.
Listen, you're hiring William Shatner. It's some bucks, right?
Yeah.
I haven't seen Alec Baldwin lately, but
Would you marry him?
I think he's been triggered.
That would be
oh, hey.
that would be funny in a Medicare Advantage ad. You stupid. It's not my fault if you don't get what you deserve, because I don't take I don't take responsibility for anything. Call in, you dumbass. So, like I said, they took the American flag is gone. The ads don't repeat as much. And again, Medicare Advantage itself is very attractive. We talk about it all the time in our right lane. It's less expensive. You may not have any deductibles at all, although longer term you're going to pay more for it. You're going to get all these bells and whistles. You're going to get dental coverage. You're going to get your Fitbit. You're going to get all this, the silver sneakers. So we have criteria for people who look at Medicare Advantage, and we tell them, we don't prefer that. We prefer you do Medigap, which is very similar to the coverage you would have had at work. Medicare Advantage, if you're very healthy, you're cash flow constrained, there are people who work that it works for them. But Danny, they're investigating those plans every enrollment period. They're going through to see if they're in the right plan. They're doing homework every year, and a lot of seniors do not want to do the homework.
Well, the average American leaves a lot of money on the table because they're not shopping it each and every year. So when you get in that open enrollment period, you need to shop each and every year. And make sure that, number one, I mean, depending on what type of plan you're on, that your doctor's still covered, that your specialists are there, that, prescription drugs, if you're on Part D,
Right.
all of these things you need to take into account. And then, I mean, if you're on Medicare, if you're on original Medicare, so you've got Part A, you got Part B, you have Part D. So A's hospitalization, B is going to be your typical go to the doctor, preventative care, lab, all the stuff you typically, we're going to use one on a regular basis.
And they're going to say, listen, no deductible. But longer term, if you have a severe illness, cancer, whatever it might be, your out-of-pocket could be much higher. Or you might prefer a treatment that Medicare Advantage doesn't approve. So the warm and fuzzy Joe Namath's lawyer, Jimmy Walsh, said he wasn't aware of any consumer complaints. And he said, if there's anything that these callers were uncomfortable with, I would imagine they would just hang up the phone. You can see seniors on the phone with these master salespeople.
Yeah.
So be careful. Be careful of the ads. Tell your mom, your dad. Run it through you first. Your financial advisor. Do not make any changes. You had one person on this one call line that was doing everything right, and she wasn't selling enough because she was saying, hey, Danny, let's see if your doctor's covered. Let's see if your medication. Like,
So she spent too much time with people?
Spent too much time.
Oh, man.
But no, they had to let her go.
That's a really good point. Call your advisor. I mean, look, we're well versed in these types of things. We're happy to help people with this. And these are things that I think every advisor should be able to spend some time, take a look, understand it. And if, we have networks, we can help you. We can point you in the right direction.
We can.
And, we can help in any way that we can. So
we get back, we're going to talk about again retirement and distributions and all kinds of fun stuff. Financial Fitness Friday. We'll be right back.
The Real Investment Advice blog. It's required reading for the informed investor. Catch it today at realinvestmentadvice.com.
In 1999, a parafiduciary group of financial advisors were busted by corporate giants for trying to operate in their clients' best interest. These men promptly escaped from a high-cost margin environment to the Houston Energy Corridor. Today, still excoriated by their former employers, they survive as protectors of others' fortunes. If you have a problem about preserving capital, if no one else can help, and you can find them right here, maybe you should hire the RIA team.
Health and financial security touches everyone within your organization. Offering benefits for all doesn't need to be complicated. Hi, I'm Tom Allen, Senior Benefits Consultant at RIA Advisors. RIA Benefits provides independent expertise to find solutions that speak to the mission of your business, the culture you want to establish, and the budget you are able to work within. Book a free consultation with me at realinvestmentadvice.com/retirement, and we'll find a solution that takes care of your most important asset, your people. realinvestmentadvice.com/retirement, realinvestmentadvice.com.
And now, another page from the Real Investment Advisors Investing Manifesto. A passive investment portfolio requires active risk management. It's not a choice, it's necessity. Diversification doesn't protect against risk of loss. Let us actively help you reach your financial goals with RIA Advisors. Neither bull nor bear. RIA Advisors, 281-501-1791 or online at realinvestmentadvice.com.
Can't catch the whole show now? Listen to our podcast later at realinvestmentadvice.com.
I just was curious if anybody was actually still printing encyclopedias anymore. Can you go buy a set of encyclopedias in printed form? The World Book Encyclopedia is the only general A to Z print research source still published today, according to Google, because I didn't have an encyclopedia handy.
The Real Investment Show podcast. Same show, your schedule.
All these encyclopedia ads are going to show up in your screen.
I know.
At realinvestmentadvice.com.
I'm logged into your website, so it's actually going to be on yours.
Anyone can sell you insurance, and they'll gladly take your premium dollars. The RIA Insurance Agency can provide you with insurance solutions tailor-made for your needs and lifestyle. Because everyone's assets are different, let RIA Insurance review what you need to protect and how. We won't sell you insurance, but what you need will be a matter of policy. RIA Insurance Agency. 888-915-0780. 888-915-0780. RealInvestmentAdvice.com. Click on the insurance tab.
Real Investment Show podcasts are now available from Stitcher Smart Radio at Stitcher.com.
Hi, Lance Roberts here. If you're like most people, your 401k plan represents the bulk of your retirement assets, and unfortunately for many, managing your 401k plan can be difficult. There's so many choices, so many things to consider. With just a quick email, a couple of questions, you can put RIA advisors to work for you managing your 401k plan. It's a quick and easy application. Just simply click Ask a Question at realinvestmentadvice.com or give us a call at 855-RIA-PLAN. That's realinvestmentadvice.com.
Have market gyrations caused you to lose sleep? If so, it's because you have more risk in your portfolio than you realize. It's time to reevaluate your long-term investing strategy with RIA advisors. Our disciplined approach can help eliminate unnecessary risk. If you think it's time to work with an advisor who puts your interests first, it's time for Real Investment Advice. RIAadvisors.com.
You're listening to The Real Investment Show.
So where you retire in a market cycle is luck. If you're going to have a headwind to returns or a tailwind. So people who retired in 2000, Danny, right, started just even following the 4% rule of distribution, wound up being in trouble, right? Because the first 5 years of retirement and withdrawals will dictate the success of the following 5 and decades after. So in 2010, if you retired and the Fed's on your side, even though the world was looking like it was coming apart, that worked. But in 2019, we went ahead and revised lower our future return estimates for asset classes. And we were concerned that we're entering this new cycle of markets of lower returns, more volatility, and we might be there. It's too early to say. I sort of look stupid for a first year or two. And now we have people who are concerned. So negative returns at the start of retirement and the combination of these market losses and withdrawals might leave your portfolio too depleted over time. Now, there are studies out there that'll show you, don't worry about it. Take your 4%. We run all the numbers and it's fine. But psychologically, Danny, and depending on my losses, is that true?
No, absolutely not. I mean, look, so if you can stick with the strategy, I think that over long periods of time, it typically is going to work, right? Mm-hmm. But there's going to be events, there's going to be time frames that are completely out of our control, and we're going to have to switch gears a little bit from time to time. And so, I think the biggest thing, Rich, is that, you mentioned, I think we all think that we're in control. Look, I'm going to retire at this point. Here's how it's going to go. Here's what's going to happen. And studies show that that's not the case. People retire typically much earlier than they anticipated. And many times it's because illness in the family. They're taking care of a loved one, a parent, a spouse, a child. You see all this. Or maybe it's just a really bad cycle. You get laid off. You say, you know what? I'm laying back on my feet. It doesn't happen. Not as quickly as you'd hope. And so you've got to switch what you're doing. And I think that's a big part, is that we don't know where we are. And, I don't think we look stupid for keeping rates of return low within a plan, because here's the big difference right now.
Stress tested for the more vulnerable years up front, right?
Correct.
And especially, listen, if you retired in 2007 or 8 and you had 50% in stocks and you had $1 million in 2007 and you spent $40,000 a year with inflation, you still had about $874,000 after 2 years, and you would have had $1.63 million today. You had a nice tailwind. So whatever you were taking out didn't matter. Portfolio grew. But if you did it through the 60s and the 70s, it'd be a different story. If you did it in 2000, it's a different story. So if were me and I was retired and I had to take money out of my account this year and I was down, just say, what's the market down, 17?
Yeah.
Say I was down 12, 13%. Do I really want to take another 4% out, or do I want to let it sit there as best I can? Or even if I do take the 4%, I'm not going to adjust it for inflation possibly next year. I'm going to see what kind of recovery I'm going to get. Because even though I'm in spend down mode, my first year retirement, psychologically, I'm looking at this balance and it's going to freak me out. I might go back to work. I might cut my expenses. I might do anything I can to avoid that distribution.
Yeah, do part-time jobs. I mean, there's a number of things that people do. And I will tell you this, most people are very good at making these decisions.
I've noticed that too. Yes.
I think you don't give yourself enough credit, because a lot of times we are inherently saying, okay, you know what? We're going to cut back a little bit. And those are the people that are typically have the best retirements. They're the most successful with it. Mm-hmm. It's not an easy thing to do. I mean, you're changing plans, switching gears quickly, but it's not. It's a thing to do that's going to help the longevity of your plan.
Right, and you don't have to make big changes to get portfolio longevity. One, you keep you don't adjust your distributions for inflation for a couple of years, right? You work a part-time job. You say you're 70 plus. You're making smart decisions with Social Security, right? You're going to try to see if you can fit your guaranteed income into fixed expenses. You're going to work on that part of it to minimize the damage. You're going to monitor your expenses, but anything you can do to monitor that withdrawal rate. There was a study by David Blanchett, and he found that people who get guaranteed income, they don't really have a variable asset portfolio. They get, whether they're using annuities or pension, whatever it may be, will tend to spend more than people who have just variable assets alone. Makes sense, right, Danny? Because if I have a $4,000 check coming in every month, I know I'm going to get it every month, right? I have it next month, the month after. So if I spend the $4,000, I don't have to worry that stocks are going to be down. I got to change my withdrawal rate. You can't be blind with your withdrawal rate. We look at it over rolling 3-year periods to give an idea to someone, hey, can we cut it back a little bit? I just had this discussion with somebody the other day. I said, you're spending about the same amount of money. She goes, well, I also accumulated some money outside. I haven't been, she's in that period where she's spending less, Danny. She's healthy, but she's spending less. I said, well, can we maybe just reduce the distribution for a year or two? Not by much. And she looked at her budget. She says, yes, we could do it. So I did that. And then I have someone that just started a pension, and we reduced her variable asset distribution based on the pension because we're in a rough cycle. So to your point, you've got to remain engaged. And your advisor just can't put blinders on and say 4%, 4%. Woohoo! What am I, a pirate? What am I, a parrot? It doesn't work all the time.
Are you a pirate or a parrot?
A parrot or a pirate. I'm a pirate, a parrot, a pirate, a puppet. So keep this in mind. Guaranteed income is great. You maximize it. And you said, Danny, it's too early to see. We have also had when stocks go down. I remember during the financial crisis, I had people tapping their cash reserves in permanent life insurance. Mm-hmm. Now, we took the policy loan so we could leave the portfolio alone. See, that's also diversification of your financial assets, isn't it? That I can maybe tap this, and then what we did is when the market recovered, we actually paid that loan off because we didn't need it. It was just a temporary stopgap. Could also be for reverse mortgages or home equity conversion mortgage, line of credit, whatever it is, to allow the portfolio to sit. Unless you are a fortunate retiree and you have plenty of guaranteed income and it covers most of your fixed expenses, it's easy, or all your fixed expenses, it's easy to cut back on the discretionary for a little bit to see where things go, isn't it?
It is. So if you're stuck right in the middle of this and you're about to retire, or maybe you're a couple years out, what do you do, Rich? I mean, you mentioned the life insurance. Mm-hmm. So you start looking for other avenues. This would be a great time if you have cash on hand. We want cash on hand for two reasons, right? If you're in distribution mode, cash is going to provide you with a buffer to let these variable assets come back. You're also going to have the ability to go shopping while things are cheap. And that's something that most people don't, because if you just stick to the buy and hold, you're always in. If you're in, you're riding it out.
I saw an interview with an advisor the other day, and she was all upset and lamenting the fact that if you have so much in cash, you're losing to inflation.
Oh.
Right?
Yeah,
yes,
if it's forever.
If I'm keeping it in there for a decade, yes. If it's to subdue the volatility, stem losses, set up my cash bucket, it's just financial advisors make you feel bad about holding cash. It's just like, it's like a red letter. And it's ridiculous. Cash is an asset class. Cash fits into your program. You don't want a lot of cash there all the time, but through periods like this, it could be very helpful to have cash. And like you said, Danny, if this is a bear market, Longer term, we don't know. Sure, acting like a burr, not Yogi. I want to have cash to buy low. I want to have powder dry. There's nothing wrong with it. But when they start getting this, oh my gosh, you're losing to inflation. How can I help you? It's stupid. Because she's extrapolating out, well, how many decades, lady, do you think I'm going to hold this? I'm going to have a plan for this cash.
Yeah. It's not forever. And that's the key.
Guilty over cash. That was a great band. Remember them? Guilty over cash?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but I think a lot of these advisors are brainwashed by the mothership and
they are.
Got to be invested, regardless of the environment. Hey, we're going to stick with the allocation. We're not changing it.
It's like going to a doctor, and no matter what you have, it's the same pill. Buy stocks. Stocks are the best.
Well, and then they try to tell you, hey, we're gonna sell high and buy low by rebalancing. But do we always want to buy the things that are down? Not always.
No, because sometimes you want to go ahead and buy Peloton. I don't.
No.
There's sometimes stocks are cheap for a reason. If you're going into a broad-based index, I get it. There's a way to do rebalancing. There's all different methods. There's just this serial rebalancing, like clockwork count on the calendar. There's opportunistic rebalancing, which I like even more, which allows positions to run, and you sort of put a border around them, and then you pull it back. So there's ways to rebalance that might be more, just better on your portfolio. It's going to take more time to do it. So if you're in the first part of your retirement years or close to retirement, you want to have more conservative assets. Unless, valuations go back to 13, 14 times earnings. But we know this, Danny. Analysts have not really adjusted down future earnings. The E's got to come down to the P. And we haven't seen that happen yet. And it's got to. We get back, we're going to talk about this new bill that would repeal federal taxes on Social Security benefits. Woohoo! Woohoo! We'll be right back.
Get daily investment news you can use, delivered at the speed of the internet at realinvestmentadvice.com.
In 1999, a parafiduciary group of financial advisors were busted by corporate giants for trying to operate in their clients' best interest. These men promptly escaped from a high-cost margin environment to the Houston Energy Corridor. Today, still excoriated by their former employers, they survive as protectors of others' fortunes. If you have a problem about preserving capital, if no one else can help, and you can find them right here, maybe you should hire the RIA team.
Hi, Lance Roberts here. If you're like most people, your 401k plan represents the bulk of your retirement assets, and unfortunately for many, managing your 401k plan can be difficult. There's so many choices, so many things to consider. With just a quick email, a couple of questions, you can put RIA advisors to work for you managing your 401k plan. Get started right now at the website, realinvestmentadvice.com, or simply call our toll-free number, 855-RIA-PLAN at realinvestmentadvice.com.
Health and financial security touches everyone within your organization. Offering benefits for all doesn't need to be complicated. Hi, I'm Tom Allen, Senior Benefits Consultant at RIA Advisors. RIA Benefits provides independent expertise to find solutions that speak to the mission of your business, the culture you want to establish, and the budget you are able to work within. Book a free consultation with me at realinvestmentadvice.com/retirement, and we'll find a solution that takes care of your most important asset, your people. realinvestmentadvice.com/retirement, realinvestmentadvice.com.
And now, another page from the Real Investment Advisors Investing Manifesto. Manage risk and volatility rather than trying to manage gains. You don't have to be right all the time. Long-term investing success is a 70% gain. Let us help you reach your financial goals with RIA Advisors. Neither bull nor bear. RIA Advisors, 281-501-1791 or online at realinvestmentadvice.com.
The Real Investment Show.
Well, market futures are pancakes. Get it? Flat. like a pancake. Now I want pancakes. I should not really talk about food. It's really not going to work.
We need to get craft service up in here.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. You know about
You're lucky
that.
we have electricity up here.
Lucky we have coffee.
Yeah. We already put out the tip jar. Like, you're going to have to start paying. 50 cents a cup. Still a deal.
Hey. Yeah.
Listen, cup of Joe, 25 cents. I watched the Popeye commercial, cartoon last Saturday. Cup of Joe, 5 cents.
Whoa, 5 cents. That's a lot of money there, Olive.
And why was Olive always going off with every dude that passed?
I don't know.
Pissed me off. I mean, Popeye's all over her, doing everything. Oh, look at that guy over there. Oh, he's so strong. And poor Popeye's
How
left
did this
in no
happen?
lunch.
He had his coffee.
I didn't have any coffee. But, yeah. You know, MeTV runs all the old Popeye cartoons. It's great.
Watched one last night.
You did?
I did.
What you do in your own bedroom? You don't want to know. Well, how did you manage to just watch a Popeye?
It popped
cartoon?
up in my feed.
Really?
Yeah. So I've been.
That's when we loved America.
I've been like all things Battleship this week.
Yeah.
because they
Oh,
moved
yeah.
it,
Did you ever see
right?
when his chest turns into a battleship?
Yeah.
You know.
And there was a Popeye cartoon that popped up in the feed with battleships and stuff. So
And his nephews drove me crazy. Popeye,
Yeah.
whatever they were.
Hi, Uncle Popeye.
Drove me nuts.
You
those
know,
kids.
you just may have a career in something else.
I did.
cartoon
The
voiceovers.
best written show, I'm going to tell you, of all time, because you got to watch it, and
to
you got
listen
to
closely.
listen. Is the Beverly Hillbillies? The lines
Yes.
that they throw out, you go, I can really take that a whole lot. And they do it on purpose. And guess who created the first electric car?
Green Acres.
Jethro.
Jethro.
He drives up and he goes, Uncle Jen, I got an electric car to fight all the smog in L.A. And he's got the top of the electric, the pole in the back of the car. He goes, we got an electric car, but I don't have an extension cord long enough to plug it in. So Beverly Hillbillies, ahead of its time.
Yes.
Ahead of its time. So, Danny, if you don't have anything to do this weekend, may I suggest
Educate your kids.
educate your kids on very well-written comedy overall.
I watched those growing up.
Well, heck, those were some of the best shows we had as kids, right? As reruns.
That's right.
Yeah. What was your favorite show as a kid?
Heckle and Jekyll.
Really?
I say, oh Featherbeak.
They were unusual, I have to say.
Yeah.
I liked them too, but
Little back and forth banter.
what was yours, Danny? Barney?
No, Barney. No,
Barney.
wasn't even around.
Blues Clues?
No.
He won't even tell us.
We didn't watch much TV.
Oh, well, there you
We were
go.
outside.
Well, we didn't
You're
have a
running
TV
around.
till I
I
was
grew
like
up in
6
New
or
York.
7.
If you go outside, you can get knifed. You stayed in and you watch television. Okay? All right, so they got this new act that they're looking at here called the You Earned It, You Keep It Act that would eliminate federal taxation of Social Security benefits beginning in 2023. So how it would be paid is by extending the payroll tax to earnings above $250,000 a year, Danny, right? Wages over $147,000 are currently exempt from Social Security payroll tax. Although I would think you'd want to revamp the payroll tax to actually save the program before you did this. What do you think?
Yeah, absolutely. We can't just start giving it away. Look, I'm all for it. Listen, you've earned these funds. Currently, 6.2% of your paycheck goes into this, and your employer pays another 6.2.
Right.
You need to, I think this would be great for these funds not to be taxed. In fact,
Absolutely.
many people retire.
And they don't even know.
They don't know. And then they're like, whoa, hey, I thought I was going to get a lot more than this. So this is a concern that they're going to give this back, and I'm all for it. But we need to work on both sides of the ledger here. And so you're going to have to increase that payroll tax or increase the amount that's taxable. They've floated a lot of bills out the last 2 years saying, okay, we're going to go up to $300,000, or maybe we're going to stop at 147, start again at 300 or 400. Look, at some point, it's all just going to be taxable.
That's what I think.
Yeah.
You're going to have the payroll tax. That cap, even though it does get raised every year, to save the program, you're going to have
You
to.
have to.
You're going to have to do it. And you have too many people on Social Security right now. This is a nice, I mean, I don't have any problem with this act, Danny, because it's what you said. People have paid into this. They don't even know. They're not educated about what makes Social Security taxable. And not only that, then I have rising prices as a senior. You look at the the CPI for the elderly, and they're paying a lot out of pocket. And this would absolutely help overall. So this was who did this? Angie Craig, Democrat from Minnesota.
But let's go a little bit deeper. So
Go
essentially what this means is that if you make between $25,000 and $34,000 in income, you're going to have 50% of your Social Security benefits are going to be taxable. If you make more than that $34,000, 85% of your benefits will be taxable. And so,
Well, blow me down.
yeah, they're not taxed at 85%. It just means that either half or 85% of your benefits will be taxed at whatever your effective tax rate is.
Yep.
So that's what catches many people by surprise. What they're suggesting is it's eliminating that tax altogether, which, it's almost like a double taxation.
I can see them means testing that as well.
Well, what's funny is that people don't think the concerns with everything is that there's going to be means testing. We already have means testing. Look at Medicare premiums.
No, I agree. But I think the boundaries around these are going to get squashed.
And this is already means tested now. I mean, essentially.
It is.
But I agree.
If you're a poor retiree, you're not paying taxes, but you shouldn't even have to worry about it since you've paid in. So there's going to be a lot over the next few years about Social Security, the viability of the program, what needs to be done to bolster it, how necessary it is. Even people who have done a wonderful job, incredible job of saving for retirement, if they get caught in a market headwind, then this guaranteed income from Social Security alleviates the pressure on the portfolio to provide the distribution. That's very helpful. So people with pensions, people that combine pensions and Social Security, maybe guaranteed income, they can let the portfolio sit and weather out, heal, right? And not have to maybe perhaps take a distribution from their portfolios. It's a sense of empowerment. It's a sense of freedom. And I've had people that have said this to me, I don't need to take it this year, Rich. We really buckled down our expenses and we help them make the right pension decision. We help them make the right Social Security decision. And they're like, listen, we can do this for a year or two and not worry about taking a distribution while our assets are down. And that's a great feeling. I could let it sit there and I still have a check coming in.
Yeah, that's a great feeling to know that you can do that. But like you mentioned earlier, we're seeing a lot of people who are saying, hey, you know what? Money's accumulating in the savings. Go ahead. We're going to utilize those funds. I think that's a great strategy. If you can do that, let assets come back. Give yourself an opportunity to the portfolio to breathe. And, we're not fans of just setting it and forgetting it. We think that all the positions need to be looked after. They need to be tended to. You need to understand your allocation. Cash is not a terrible thing. Now, we don't get all the way in or all the way out, but we will utilize it during times of turmoil.
Absolutely.
Quite a bit more. And in fact, we started, going a lot, building that cash position at the beginning of the year. Last year we were underweight and overweight stocks. This year we're underweight stocks and bonds and heavy on cash. And you remember back in January, February, people were like, whoa, what are y'all doing? This was a great year last year. Why would we take funds out? Well, because we have headwinds. Now, granted, I don't think anybody anticipated all the things that happened at once. I mean, it was quite a bit. But, cash is not a terrible thing. So, if your advisor, if you're listening on like you said, you saw it on whatever station that was that said, hey, you got to be all in, cash, you're going to get eaten alive by inflation. Yeah, that's right, if it's forever. But if you can utilize that as an important part of your strategy, it is a great tool. But we don't advocate 100% because most people, some of you guys out there are really, really good at this, but many people have a very difficult time of getting back in.
Right. The cash, like you said, is if you have a storm coming through and you have plywood up on your windows, you're not going to keep them up all year. You don't need to do something from an emergency perspective. Cash is really good as an absolute diversifier.
Yeah.
Right? And if I have to fall on the sword of principal loss or inflation loss for a short period of time, I'm going to pick the inflation loss every time. Because at least I'm going to have capital to reinvest later on. Hey, just got my email from one of my online banks. We're increasing your rate again. So if you have your financial vulnerability cushion, these online banks, right, 6 months of living expenses for emergencies, another 6 months put aside for anything that could happen, job loss, illness. We started talking about that, ironically, right before the pandemic, and that worked out pretty well. You're getting better rates, albeit not what inflation is, but you are getting better rates on cash. And these online banks are very aggressive to raise rates.
You know what's weird, though, Rich,
Yeah.
is that think back in 2018, rates on online savings were much higher than they are today, and yields are about the same spot. Actually, they're at the same spot.
Yeah, I know.
So what is that telling us?
Oh, no. Wasn't telling you.
I don't know. Maybe rates don't get as high as what we anticipate. Even though the Fed's going to push them, Treasury yields won't go nearly as high as we hope. Or many hope.
I think we're playing that gambit right now. I think that's the possibility. That's where we are with Lance, right?
Yeah.
Think about, listen, rates can only go so far. You've already squashed the housing market at 5.66%, which in relation to the history, that's really still a very low mortgage rate. But not to today's generation. We all depend on low rates. Hey, thanks for listening. Hope you have a great Labor Day weekend. Lance is back on Tuesday, and we'll see you next Friday. Thanks, everyone.
Yeah, my market.
It's a rich man's world. It's a rich man's world.